My 32 female brother, 34, had been dating Jane, 32, for like 10 or 11 years. In the beginning, the whole family absolutely adored her, but over time, maybe 3 years ago, Jane became kind of witchy and distant, and none of us understood why. She wouldn't answer us when we asked, so we admittedly avoided her, honestly. She blocked everyone on everything, stopped going to family events, etc. I know I personally started hating her for personal reasons, as the only person she ever acknowledged was my husband, and she was flirty, and it didn't sit well with me. However, my brother showed up here completely tanked last night, saying Jane left him. During his visit, he started opening up on the why aspect and informed me that when Jane was like 23, she expressed wanting to get married and wanted to have babies and whatnot. Something none of us knew. We thought they were child-free by choice, as that's what my brother told all of us. He told me that if she loved him, she would wait until he got his crap together. So she apparently waited around for years, just waiting on him, before he finally told her last week that he didn't want kids or to get married and that he was comfortable with his current life. So she left. He expressed that she started acting nasty to the rest of the family because, during that time, I was pregnant and she couldn't stand being around me. He also very bluntly said she wanted your husband and talked about him all the time because she knew he wanted kids and I was holding out. And he'd apparently been the reason she blocked us all because of her comments about my husband. But looking back now, it makes a lot of sense. Anyways, at the end of the conversation, I said that I could understand why she left. I also told him I understood him and his reasoning behind not wanting kids or marriage. But if it was that important to her, I could see why she left, especially when he made the promise of, when I get my crap together, just to tell her years later that he basically lied and never wanted kids or marriage. So she probably feels like he wasted her time. I made a point to tell him I understood both sides, but he chalked this up to me agreeing with Jane and said that women shouldn't always stick together, you know. I'm your damn family, and Jane left the love we had behind over potential kids and a piece of paper. That wasn't what I was trying to say, but my husband told me later that I should have just not said what I said, regardless of how true it was. Am I the idiot? Your brother dated Jane for 11 years. 10 years ago, Jane told him she wanted marriage and kids. He told her to wait until he was ready, basically leading her on, and now she's 32. He tells her no kids. She wasted a decade of her life on your brother because he thinks their love should be enough, dismissing her life's wishes. He's a major idiot. I can't begin to describe the sympathy and anger I feel right now. You are not the idiot at all. Not just wasted her time, but very possibly took away her opportunity to have kids at all. At 32, she's on a tight timeline to date around, meet someone great, and mutually decide to have kids together. With age, getting pregnant and then carrying a healthy baby to full term becomes increasingly harder. Poor woman. Your brother knew he wasn't keen on marriage and kids. He knew Jane was. He intentionally led her on with the lies suggesting he would want those things in the near future once his crap was together. When he figured he'd led her on long enough that she would fall victim to sunk cost fallacy, he dropped the bomb that he would never be willing to give her the relationship and family of her goals. Your brother doesn't suck for not wanting those things, but he sucks so hard for leading Jane on and then acting like he's the one with any right to be hurt. And your husband sucks for butting in and suggesting you pretend to side with your idiot brother just to keep some peace. Jane doesn't deserve that, even if you'll never see her again. And Jane sucks for hitting on OP's husband and hating her just because she got pregnant. Just because the brother treated her that badly doesn't give her the right to treat others badly as well. Oh, and I hate when people say it's just a piece of paper. If it's just that, then sign it. I don't care if people get married or not, but that argument makes no sense. My daughter took it fairly well when my ex-husband and I divorced 3 years ago. She unfortunately understood why, so it wasn't a shock, but of course it was still a major change. Our main focus was on doing what was best for her, so we tried to involve her as much as was healthy in what the new schedule would be. We settled on a flexible 50-50 and she took it in stride. The only thing she asked was never to have any new parents or siblings. I thought it was a weird thing to ask for as neither of us was even considering dating, but she was worried to the point of hysterics about it, so we agreed. A year and a half ago, enter my now husband. My daughter met him and they got along fine. She met his kids and that was fine, and she's met probably too many of her father's female guests, so I thought she'd gotten over it. I was wrong. Late last year we got engaged and started preparing to move in together, and she lost it. She went into hysterics that I was breaking my promise. She announced that she would not be spending the night with me anymore and demanded to live with her father 100% of the time. I told her that was ridiculous and that the schedule wasn't changing. Her father decided to back her and will fight it in court if necessary. My lawyer says it could go either way if it goes to court because she's a young teen, which is a last resort for us. I don't want this change. Her father loves her, but he's not a responsible parent. He leaves her home alone far too much and doesn't even try to supervise or put limits on anything. More so, my daughter is a child and shouldn't have the right to dictate how much she sees her parents. I know I stupidly agreed not to remarry at that moment, but that wasn't realistic to promise, and she had to know that. My ex is on her side and thinks she should live where she's most comfortable and agrees with her that I'm being irresponsible. I don't think giving her that much power is healthy, especially over something that was demanded when she was a tween. You are the idiot. Don't promise your kid something and then be annoyed she's upset you broke that promise. I do not think you should force her to live with anyone she doesn't want to live with. That includes the man you are having intimacy with, and you should have known that it was important to her. It's a very valid concern and I'm on her side. At least OP should have sat down with her daughter for a talk before making this big of a decision, in my opinion. Explain that she made a promise at that time, but she's in love now, and add the reason she wants to marry her fiancé, etc., and have a conversation. I think OP doesn't consider her daughter as her own person, and as a kid who doesn't know any better, or whose feeling doesn't matter. OP, if you continue to ignore your daughter's feelings and dismiss her, you'll lose her. Your lawyer is right. She will get to choose who she lives with, but the courts will likely require some visitation, i.e. at least every other weekend. However, depending on the living situation, i.e. sharing a room, may not require any overnights. It's less about no remarrying, new siblings, but more about how fast you're moving. You've been divorced for 3 years, so 1.5 years ago you introduced this man to your child, and now they're already moving in and playing happy family? Yikes. I'm in a tough situation with my not identical twin brother, and I'm not sure if I was wrong. For context, my twin, 19 male, and I, 19 male, have always been physically different. I've always been more into fitness and caring for my body, while my twin has struggled with obesity for most of his life. Recently, I've been posting pictures on my Instagram wearing nice suits and tight pants and showing off my body. My twin has become increasingly jealous of this and has made several comments about it to me in private. The other day, we had a family gathering, and my twin blew up at me in front of everyone. He accused me of rubbing my body in his face and being insensitive to his struggles with weight. I was taken aback and tried to explain that I wasn't trying to hurt him, but he kept getting increasingly upset. Finally, I snapped and told him that he should stop eating so much and stop being lazy if he wanted to have a better body like mine. Now I feel terrible about what I said. I know my twin has a lot of issues with his weight and it wasn't fair of me to say those things. But at the same time, I feel like he's being unreasonable in his jealousy, and I don't know how to handle the situation. He kept complaining about his weight, so when I snapped, I felt like I needed to tell him the truth straight up so he could stop projecting his insecurities onto me. However, my mother, 58, was very upset with me and cried after the family gathering to tell me how horrible I was for shaming my brother publicly. My family is also blowing up my phone with messages saying I should apologize to my brother because he keeps telling everyone how upset he is. So, am I the idiot for what I said? Not the idiot. Don't dish it if you can't take it. He shouldn't blow up at you assuming you won't snap back at him. You have no obligation to be sensitive towards some who lash at you out of jealousy. While non-identical twins are genetically just siblings and therefore can have some very diverse traits, it is in the case of obesity pretty much entirely down to lifestyle. I'm sorry, you all blame genetics. There is no magical metabolism that makes you 150 kilograms and your bro 50 kilograms. Metabolism is a minor factor in the equation. Obviously, your brother doesn't feel right about his weight, and in any other case, being mean to him would be unacceptable. But he went for you and you clawed back. That's on him. This 100%. Your mother cried and said you were wrong shaming your twin. He was shaming you, so where were those tears? He started this whole thing and escalated it by blowing up in a public setting around other people. Yes, one may say that you should have had the composure and not said anything because 2 wrongs don't make a right. But realistically, only a saint would keep quiet in a situation like that. I know I would have blown it had someone done that to me. You're not in the wrong. Your brother is. Everyone's the idiot. Both of you were unkind and lashed out, but your parents suck for not seeking help for your brother sooner. If 2 children from the same parents generally eat the same stuff and only one ends up obese, I'd be very concerned for that child's health. Maybe he isn't active because he has a hormonal imbalance making him feel tired. Maybe his metabolism is out of whack. Or maybe he suffers from sleep apnea and that causes all sorts of problems. He should see a doctor and a nutritionist. Not because being fat is inherently bad, but because it could be a symptom of something else. If there's nothing wrong with him physically, therapy might help to either find an alternative to food as a coping strategy, accept his body, or both. Apologize for hurting him. Ask him to stop commenting on your body and you will not comment on his body again. I, 35 female, am engaged to my fiancé Brian, 37 male. We've been together 2 years. He has a daughter, Ashley, teen from a previous relationship. I'm currently pregnant with our daughter. I like to play the lottery sometimes, usually just scratch tickets. This time I won $50,000. Of course, I was very excited. I decided to take the money and put it away for my future child's future. I told Brian about the money and that it was being put away for our baby's future. He said we should take some of the money for Ashley since she'll graduate high school in a few years. Brian and his ex do have a college fund set up for Ashley, but not enough for all of it. I let him know this money would be used for our child since it was won by me, and I'd be the one paying taxes on it, since we're not married yet. I let him know once the baby was born it would go into a trust that no one had access to. Brian and Ashley think I'm being ridiculous since the unborn baby would have more money than she already set aside and it's unfair. I explained I understood how they felt, but I think I'm doing the right thing. Now my mother-in-law is also pressuring me because Ashley went to her house feeling upset, saying the baby is getting preferred treatment already. Am I the idiot? Run. Do not marry that man. He is not entitled to 1 cent of that money and certainly his daughter is not. She has 2 parents already who are putting up money for her, but she and others are mad that another person, you, is not also contributing. Screw that. I completely agree. Is Ashley and your fiancé planning to split her college fund in half and give half to the new baby? I mean, fair is fair. Also, they should reimburse you for a portion of all the money you've lost playing the lottery. So why do they feel entitled to your winnings when they don't want to take any of the risks? He comes as a package deal. He has a child already. That means OP will be a big part of her life. That doesn't entitle her to OP's money. He truly is a vile person. He's purposely poisoned OP's relationship with Ashley forever by telling Ashley about OP's winnings and then telling her that she deserves a share of it. And now mother-in-law is chiming in, so OP's relationship with her is ruined too. I actually think you're doing something very smart and considerate for the future of your future child. You have in your hands an opportunity that not everyone receives in their entire life, and you're acting very maturely. You're not spending it on vanities or anything else you can think of. It's going to sound cruel, but realistically she's not your daughter. She has her mother and father who have the opportunity to prepare for several years for their college fund. It's not your responsibility. Your responsibility is to think about the future of your child. Just because he's not born yet doesn't mean you can't save that money for him. Best wishes for your pregnancy and for the future of your baby. My 22 female boyfriend came to our family party yesterday. We are your stereotypical large Irish family that does enjoy drinking when we get together. Nobody gets slosh, but people are anticipating a pretty good time when we all get together. My boyfriend's family is almost the opposite. There's rarely alcohol at his family events, and if there is, it's usually like a glass of wine that someone may have, and that's it. It doesn't matter to me. I can have fun drinking and not drinking. I was with my boyfriend after the party and he was on the phone with his mom in front of me. She must have asked him about the party because he was describing it. The things he was saying really embarrassed me, and I thought it made us look like heavy drinkers. Some quotes were, "Yeah, Mom, it was wild. Like 10 minutes after we get back from church, oh, here comes Aunt Susie with a tray of shots for everyone. I was asked by 3 different cousins to shotgun a drink. It literally felt like I was at a college party but with intoxicated old people and little kids running around." He was laughing it off and hung up the phone with his mom. I'm unsure if he knew I heard the convo, but I just told him how bad that made me feel. I told him he painted my whole family as alcoholics and now his parents probably think less of me. He assured me that's not the case and his parents aren't judgmental. I have met them and while they're nice, I'm sure they will gossip about this. I still think he was wrong. I told him that I wanted an apology, and I wanted to hear him call his mom back and tell her he was exaggerating, and that wasn't true, even though what he said was true about the shots and the beer. Am I the idiot for wanting an apology from my boyfriend and more after he made my family seem like heavy drinkers to his parents? You are the idiot. He wasn't saying it in a judgmental tone, and what he said was 100% true. Calling his mom to then call himself a liar would just be bizarre and unnecessary and make him look extremely weird. If people are doing the stuff he told, that is pretty intense for a family party. You all kind of are a bunch of drunks, and that's okay, but don't try to pretend otherwise. A screening questionnaire for problem drinking includes: have people annoyed you by criticizing your drinking? Think you tick that one off easily. My in-laws are similar to your family, the only difference being they're not ashamed of it. They love a big family get-together with a load of drinks and games and dancing, and everyone has a blast. Maybe ask yourself if you're projecting your own feelings toward your family. You said yourself that what he described actually happened. The way your feelings are valid, so are his. That's what it felt like to him, but it seems like he was describing this in a more jovial sense. At the same time, you're the one that appears to be passing harsher judgment on your family. Be proud of your family, and stop trying to get your boyfriend to lie to his family. Update: thank you to everyone who gave this thoughtful insight and didn't come at me with a holier-than-thou attitude like you've never been drunk before. My defensiveness comes from not understanding that others may do things differently. I must respect the opinions of others, but at the same time, I enjoy my family and we have fun. I'm proud to be a part of it, so I will no longer be defensive.